Hello, everyone. So, what it feels like now is that as we continue to move into more of who and what we really truly are, then more of what we could call the old aspects or parts of us and all that we see and experience and feel around us is falling away. The parts of us that aren't able to continue with us on this journey into ourselves. And nor should they, because really they aren't really who we are, and they never were in a lot of cases. It may have been something that we had experienced, that we had built, and a kind of a construction of an identity or an experience or a perception of the world or ourselves or others. It, they may have been something or things that we created that we identified with, again, as part of our experience, whether ourselves directly or all other aspects of our experience that we found ourselves in. Yet the truth of who we are, what we are, which has always been here, may have been forgotten, and in fact has been forgotten for this lifetime, most of this lifetime, and for other lifetimes as well, usually many lifetimes for most of us. And all of this is now at a point where we've reached a level of awareness, and more of us are growing into this or coming into this awareness as we speak, in every moment, literally, where we're recognizing this and these parts of us, these experiences, all of these things that we've taken as just the truth or real for, again, most of this life up to this point and other lifetimes as well, we're starting to see them for what they are and were, which in most cases has been this kind of falsely constructed perception, identity, identification with what we have believed and perceived to be true. And now, as we experience more and more of it and seeing it for what it is, that it's not true, then it's starting to be released. We're starting to let go of it. And yet, in that, there are parts of us and parts of all around us that are really starting to react to that and cling on to that out of fear of letting go, because a lot of times we don't really know, or we're not sure about what's beyond it, or really who and what we really are beyond and around and underneath and above all of this bubble of falsely created or mistakenly created, shall I say, sense of reality and perception and truth. And yes, parts of that which we are still very identified with in a lot of cases. I know I am as I'm working through it and finding some things are quite difficult to let go of or even recognize or admit that they are part of who and what I've been identifying with and as. It's hard to let that go sometimes. And yet, one of the things that I'm sure you have found and can and will find is that when we shift, well, first of all, let me just say that when we start growing into this awareness of more of the truth and the nature of what we're experiencing like that, and that a lot of it is not necessarily true, not necessarily something that we need to hold on to, then we have the ability from that point to either react against it, which again, a lot of us have. Again, I know I have, where we think it's something that we need to get rid of or push against or eradicate or destroy or whatever, because we recognize it as not being the truth. Yet, in a lot of cases, that may not be the most effective way to let it go and truly expand out of it, ascend out of it. Because when we're feeding that with the energy of pushing against it, even if the energy says, I don't want this, I know it's not true, we're still creating and empowering the identity, the perception, the identification with that belief, perception, experience, part of our identity, whatever it is that we're recognizing as not really being true. When we're starting to resist it, push against it, reject it, then we're maintaining and perpetuating its presence in our experience. So the shift that really seems to help is being able to place more focus and awareness and allowing on the truth of who and what we really are and be. And moving into that feeling, that sense of peace and acknowledgement and relaxation and empowerment and gratitude and all of the other wonderful things that come with this feeling, this knowing, when we start remembering who and what we really truly are and be. When we start moving into that and returning into that, becoming that which we are more fully again, then all of these other things that we are no longer identifying with or empowering, because we're not pushing against them anymore, they start to leave or fall away or dissolve, however you want to put it, on their own. Because in the light of the truth of who we are, they just simply can't exist because they were never true in the first place. And so it just, everything starts to and continues to come into balance and being in truth. And when we see the things that we've identified with, that we've been taught or told or conditioned to believe that we are and that is the truth about all aspects of ourselves and all the world and experience around us, when we start to recognize the truth of us and who and what we really are, then all of that other false information, false beliefs, limitations, all of that begins to crumble and dissipate and dissolve and clear, because it can't be sustained in the truth of who we are. And again, at this point, certainly for me and probably for many of us, the challenge often then is to let go and allow ourselves to let go of that identification with those false aspects, the untrue, to the point where we're not having to resist it either, but we're just not identifying with it. Because a lot of that has been something that we've carried with us for a long time, and it's, or can be, very ingrained in our identity of who we are, our perception, our awareness, our belief of who we are. But when we start releasing created or constructed perceptions of identity and reality and all of that, and come back into what we already know and who we already know that we are, and what our true nature and the true nature of reality, as we say it or call it, is, then all that is not starts to leave on its own. And sometimes it will come as like an aha moment, like, oh wow, now I see it why did I believe that in the first place? And other times it'll just kind of gently leave on its own, and then all of a sudden you'll find one moment that, oh, well, I'm just not experiencing that anymore, or oh wow, that's not in my life anymore. Whatever the case may be. But whatever it may be for you, one of the best ways, or the best way, the only way really, to move through it effectively and truly come home into more of who and what you really are and be, is to allow yourself to acknowledge those aspects of you that you do already identify with as being who and what you really are and be. And I know that you're feeling this, at least to some degree, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. So focusing in allowing ourselves to be that, rather than looking at all of the things that we've already identified as not us, and then finding or believing that we need to find a way to get rid of them or deny them or all of that. Rather, focusing on the truth, and then what is false goes away on its own automatically, because it can't exist in truth. I hope that resonates with you, and I trust that you're having this experience, and if you needed some words of encouragement or confirmation, I trust that these will be some words that you can receive that from and with. I give you my love and blessings and gratitude for continuing to watch these videos. If you do want to leave any comments or discuss anything in the comment section, by all means go ahead. And if not, that's fine too. I'm sure you're receiving everything that you need right now. And I'll see you next time. Love you.